What would you do if one morning you woke up and realized your own land had been turned into a prison? Not by the government, not by criminals, but by your friendly neighborhood homeowners association. This isn't a Hollywood thriller. This is a real story of one man, his dog, and his land, 12 acres in Oklahoma, under siege by bulldozers, lawyers, and pastel-clad suburban warlords, and it all started with a single letter. Stick around, because what began as a simple refusal to sell turned into a modern-day standoff that caught the attention of the internet, the sheriff's department, and eventually, national headlines. When I was 12 years old, my father took me behind the barn and handed me a wrench. He showed me how to replace a fuel filter on an old generator, then he said something that stuck with me forever. This land runs because we know how to keep it running. 30 years later, those words still guide me. I live on the same 12 acres my folks left me, tucked just outside Tulsa, Oklahoma. The house isn't fancy, ranch style, built in the 70s, with a wraparound porch I rebuilt after a tornado ripped half of it away in 2014. There's a solar rig I pieced together over 3 summers, a well deeper than any HOA would approve, and a workshop I treat better than my own bedroom. I'm not fully off-grid, but close enough that when the lights go out in town, mine stay on. For years, my only neighbors were deer, and the occasional cow wandering over from Tom Halverson's spread. That piece ended 4 years ago, when developers showed up with blueprints, smiles, and promises of a modern community experience. They called it Sunny Hollow, rows of boxy prefab homes jammed onto quarter-acre lots, with lawn regulations strict enough to make you measure your grass with a ruler. They built a fence, their edge right up against my western boundary. I figured that was the end of it until 2 months ago. That's when I got the letter, a crisp white envelope, embossed initials, SE, Sunny Hollow Association. Inside, an offer to buy my land, fair compensation, they called it. I tossed it straight into the fire pit. 2 weeks later, another letter came, same initials, same tone, this time, a number, $600,000. To some folks, that might sound like a fortune, but to me, this land is more than soil and timber. It's where the cottonwoods lean in summer, where the creek runs after storms, where my dog Banjo naps in the shade. You can't put a price tag on that. Then came the SUV, white, spotless, rolling up my gravel drive like it owned the place. Out stepped a woman in a pale blue pantsuit, clipboard in hand, heels clicking. "Mr. Reed?" she asked, with a smile rehearsed 100 times. "That's me," I said cautiously. "Karen Martell, president of the Sunny Hollow Homeowners Association." She launched into a speech about shared values, community harmony, residential cohesion. It was like listening to a realtor chatbot hopped up on espresso. I cut her off, not interested. Her smile didn't flicker. "Well, I understand this property holds sentimental value, but think of the bigger picture." I gestured to the open fields. "This is my bigger picture." Something shifted in her eyes. Just for a moment, a shadow, then the smile returned. She left her card on my fence post, like she was planting a flag. That's when I knew this wasn't over. A week later, I noticed a white sedan parked by the boundary, then men in safety vests with clipboards, surveying, measuring, watching. And then, one morning, the sound that changed everything, diesel engines growling. I stepped outside to a nightmare, bulldozers, backhoes, dump trucks, all lined along my fence line, men in hard hats moving with military precision. And in the middle of it all, Karen, reflective vest, designer scarf, clipboard in hand, smiling like it was a Sunday barbecue. "Morning, Mr. Reed," she shouted over the roar. "What the hell is this?" I barked. Routine drainage, soil reinforcement, nothing to worry about. But I could see it, the trench 4 feet from my fence, deep and widening by the minute, and it wasn't stopping. The machines were circling my land. "Are you planning to dig all the way around?" I asked. Karen's grin widened. "Well, now that you mention it, yes." By the end of the week, I was surrounded, no driveway access, deliveries couldn't reach me, mail rerouted, trash pickup canceled. I wasn't just fenced in, I was landlocked. I called the sheriff. A young deputy came, nodded, took notes, promised to check with zoning. Karen handed him fake maps with suspiciously thick boundary lines. His answer? Technically, no one's crossing into your home lot. Technically. That night, I sat on the porch, banjo asleep by my boot, staring at the half-dug moat around my home. I wasn't scared, I was angry. What Karen didn't know? I'd been watching her the whole time. Years back, I'd installed hidden off-grid cameras. Inside birdhouses, fence posts, even a garden gnome. Paranoid? Maybe, but in Oklahoma, you learn to protect what's yours. And those cameras caught everything: bulldozers crossing the line, workers laughing about how he'll cave by next week. And the crown jewel? A clip of Karen pointing at my well pump, saying, "Make sure that trench hits just shy of that thing. He can't live without water. He'll break faster than the zoning board." That was it. I uploaded the footage, screenshots, a video titled, HOA digging trench around private property without consent. It spread like wildfire. Facebook groups lit up, neighbors whispered, the local news came calling. Suddenly, it wasn't just me versus Karen, it was me and the internet versus the Sunny Hollow HO. But instead of backing off, Karen doubled down. She sent crews at night, dropping concrete blocks into the trench. She spread rumors online that I was a squatter. She even tried cutting off access to my well. But every move she made, I caught on camera. The sheriff finally had no choice. Deputies arrived, saw the footage, and for the first time admitted, this changes things. By the time my lawyer and I stood in front of the judge, the story had gone national. HOA boards across the country were being mocked in memes. I was dubbed the man in the moat. Karen's lawyers claimed it was all a misunderstanding, but then my attorney dropped the bomb. Forged permits, fake signatures, even one from a county official who had been dead for 3 years. The judge didn't hesitate. Immediate cease and desist. The trench had to be filled, access restored, criminal investigation opened. Within days, Karen was arrested. Fraud, forgery, conspiracy. Her pastel kingdom collapsed overnight. County crews came to fill the trench, undoing weeks of destruction in hours. The HOA board dissolved. Homeowners realized their fees had funded Karen's personal landscaping bills. I received compensation, enough to repair my land, and finally build the storm shelter I'd put off for years. And when the dust settled, I built a new fence, solid cedar, 10 feet tall. On the west side, I put up one small sign, Trench 2025, never again.